Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Today's video is a combination of two videos that I put out before that a lot of people didn't see for some reason or another. The videos regarding Sebastian Rogers and where the scent dog scented, the trail that it took, given to me by Chris Proudfoot, and also the surveillance footage and what those lights were that a reporter claimed were flashlights and people moving around, etc. It turns out it wasn't people moving around at all. It was actually a garbage truck. So here are those videos right now. A reporter named Nick Barris put out some surveillance footage in the Sebastian Rogers case. Seems like a couple months ago now. And everybody went wild. Oh my God, it's somebody with a flashlight running around. It's somebody with a flashlight. Look at that, look at that. You know, it was interesting because you sort of trust what the media is putting out there. You know, what Nick didn't want to tell you is that subject one that he has here, and by the way, law enforcement didn't make this where it says subject one and subject two. That's what the news channel did. Okay, where it says subject one over there on the right, it moves around a little bit because what this video is a video of a screen. So somebody's holding a cell phone, for example, and they're filming a screen and their camera's kind of moving around a little bit. You know, it's not on a tripod where it's really still. So these things move around. So subject one isn't a subject. Okay, it's a fixed light. Now, I communicated with Chris Proudfoot. We communicated via voice on Facebook. And we spent a good 20 minutes or so going over what this was because he knows exactly where this is. And it absolutely makes sense. But before we do that, let's listen to what Nick Barris and one of the investigators had to say.
He says the parents continue to fully cooperate.
Any evidence of foul play?
We have not cleared anyone, but we have absolutely no evidence to support foul play.
I asked about exclusive home security video obtained from the neighborhood the night Sebastian disappeared. You can see two suspicious light sources, which we've circled here, in an area behind the teen's home. Since we first aired the video last month.
And you know what's amazing is when you look at this video right here, see this little overlay right here? A YouTuber out there literally claimed that this was it, that this is the light right over the top of this. And this image right here in the background of this, whoever gave her this image, used this exact background image because you can see where the lights are down here. This all matches up with this. It's an absolute joke, okay? Then the next day, they actually got some footage from the actual camera, and they didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it was absolutely shocking. However, they should have realized that when they had the video from the surveillance, that it should have absolutely debunked the video that they put out the day before, but of course they leave that one up because it's getting good views. It's insane, you guys. So this right here, these dots right here are not flying in the air. There's no blimp. There's no helicopter. There's no satellite footage beaming down that somehow a reporter got really quick. All right? This is inaccurate information that was put out by an irresponsible YouTuber. All right, so here is the footage that Nick Barris put out there, and he's claiming that this right here is a person. All right, so let's get back to this.
Since we first aired the video last.
But see how it's moving around slightly over here? That's because it's a handheld camera filming a screen. This over here is an object that's moving.
Last month, authorities have said
No evidentiary value?
It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
And so it could play a role down the road depending on developments?
We don't know what we don't know. So yes, it could play a role.
So as we just heard from one of the investigators right there, that there's no evidentiary value. Now, when I spoke to Chris Proudfoot, he explained to me exactly what is on the video. All right, so let's go down to the location. This is Sebastian Rogers' home, the Proudfoot's home right here. And he explained to me that the shot is from a surveillance camera right here on this building. We spent like 20 minutes. I kept sending him pictures of a map, and he would say, yeah, this one right over here. See that right there? And he would describe everything perfectly for me. So we were able to get it done. And it's unfortunate that other YouTubers didn't take the opportunity to talk to Chris Proudfoot in a way without sort of trying to dig in and see if they can find something in there to be accusatory towards him. So there's the camera right here. Can you see that? It's filming down, and there's one car that is facing the garage, and then some other cars that are parallel to the house, and a boat, and then this black truck right here. And if you look at the still frame from the actual video itself, see, here's those two lights up here, and here's the fixed light over there. You can see there's a car right here facing the garage, and then other cars backed up like that, and that might even be a boat back there, a pickup truck, and another pickup truck. And if you go to Street View again, you can see that that's what happens here. And apparently there's a fixed light on this house over here. He was saying maybe it's that one, perhaps there's another one up here, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the light there that's also the fixed light. So don't really know exactly which one it is, but it's on this house. The two lights that you're seeing are up here on a house. Now let's go up in the air on Street View, and it's right here, the house with a square swimming pool. So there's two lights probably in the front here that you can see. And Sebastian Rogers' home is over here. Now there's that one movement that looks like it's going like this across the screen in the video. So if you go up here, there is a road up here, and apparently it was a garbage truck that drove down the road, and then right here it has to turn around. So that's why the light went back in the video. Remember how everybody was like, wow, why did the light go back? That's weird. That's because it's a garbage truck. It came right here, turned around, and drove back, and it comes into the background over here. So if you go down to Street View, way down here, you can kind of see how this plays out. So here's where the camera is. You're right here, and it's kind of filming like this. It's a wide angle lens, so it picks up more information. So there's a light over here. There are the two lights up in there, and then the pickup truck is driving up there. So you got to realize that you have to go down to, you know, low on the ground, so you could see that it would be coming in like this, and it looked like it went right back towards the home there. But there's trees in there, so it looks like it goes on and off intermittently. Let's take a look at the Street View from 2007. So again, there's no surveillance camera there at that time, but they were still using the area for parking a boat and, you know, cars on the grass and everything. But if you go up here, you can see this is the house. There was no trees in the area at that time because it was a new neighborhood. So on this home right here are those two lights, and then behind there, there's a road back there. But you can see if you go down here that that road is basically parallel with the level of the house. You know, because the highest it could be would be up in the trees over here, but it's not. It's right back up in there. There's a road, and so that light you could see coming on and off. And again, this was in February where there's no leaves on the trees, so you would be able to see through the branches and trees. And if it's really, you know, not a lot of branches, it would look like a continuous light because of the distance. And then sometimes it would go on and off because of a structure or a you know, thicker tree, for example. But so that way back up in here is where the dead end is. It kept driving like this. Here's the two lights, and then again you'd have to go down to this area. It's hard to mimic exactly because you have to be right underneath here and then looking in that direction. But he explained it to me. It absolutely made sense. Leave me a comment in the comment section what you think. I have no doubt that he's telling you the truth. That's why there's no evidentiary value, because it's a garbage truck. Now, they don't know what they don't know, and so they're making that comment because at that time, perhaps that garbage truck is related to something, you know, but likely not at all. So it'd be right here, the surveillance shot, the two lights right there. A light on this house is a fixed light, and then you see way in the background two lights on that house, and then up on this road is a garbage truck that turns around, goes back this direction, and is seen on the video. And here's an example of that. So here's the fixed light on the house, way up in the distance. So these two lights here could be on like the roof of the house, up on the top. And then this is the pickup truck on the road. And you can really see it on this shot right here, because see how the height of that building is higher than the road would be in the background because of the angle. So if those two lights are up here, then the pickup truck would be lower over here coming in. All right. So I think this absolutely debunks the flashlight story that everybody wants to keep making into something because they've run out of content. And so they're just like reanalyzing this flashlight video over and over and over and over again. And when you start seeing people trying to do overlays as if the lights are from a satellite, they've jumped the shark. Okay. There is no doubt that it was taken right here at this house. So then it's facing that direction. And Chris Proudfoot's story absolutely makes sense. Now, he also explained to me the route that the dog took when it had a scent. So I'll put that in here as well. So he said that out the front door, it scented Sebastian. And then the dog scented around the house like this. And then back over here where it came out, the dog came out on, I think it's called Kellen Lane. So it kind of came right in front of that same house that had the fixed light on it. And then he apparently walked this direction. And then right up here on Devon Court, took a right. And then went down this Parkenham Drive. Now the thing is all this is way more developed at this point, because this was a year ago, 4/14/2023, and I think you could actually walk straight through like that. And apparently walked over here, and there's a retention pond right here now, and apparently that's where the tracking stopped. And I guess it's not really that deep, that retention pond, so maybe he walked through it and the dog's lost his scent and he went somewhere else. Maybe he went up this direction. We don't really know. But law enforcement is apparently going to, in the fall, when the leaves are off, are going to do another deep dive search in the area, because at this point the foliage is getting way too thick. Kind of reminds you of the Delphi case. The bridge area looks totally different. Also in the Summer Wells case, very similar. They had to do a search in the fall because the foliage is way too thick, and it's hard to search in those environments. You really almost can't do it. It's just the whole day you'd have to be slogging through. But in the fall, you can see through and make your way through the trees, etc. Okay? So those are the little bits of information that Chris Proudfoot shared with me. He said that I could discuss those on the show. Also, he did pass his polygraph test, the one that Nancy Grace said that she would give him. And the way that went was that he asked law enforcement, should I take the polygraph test with Nancy Grace? And they told him absolutely not. Okay, so then he said, well, I can take one from you guys. And he set one up, and he took the polygraph test, and he passed. That's according to him. Okay. I think that it's true, however, because if you said something like that and you didn't take a polygraph test, law enforcement would know absolutely for certain that you're lying about something. Okay. Now, they also told him, they asked him, do you mind if we tell Seth that you passed the lie detector test? And he said, well, let me ask my wife. And then they said, yeah, okay, sure. And they wanted to tell Seth that so he would stop trashing them in the media and insinuating that maybe they have something to do with it. Okay? He passed the lie detector test. So did Katie Proudfoot. The only person that was inconclusive was Seth, because he fell asleep during the important lie detector test. It sort of fits in with him not wanting to have custody even after he believed that Katie allowed his son to be abused. He still said, I didn't think it was my right. So it kind of fits into that narrative, just sort of like not really going all out. All right? And then people say, well, at least he's over there searching. Well, that's because he has all the love and adulation from all of you guys. All right? The Proudfoots never got to enjoy that courtesy. And here is the second video that shows the scent dog path again and an overlay regarding the surveillance footage and the location. It should explain to you exactly where that shot was taken, and you'll feel comfortable believing it. If you don't, you'll just be wrong. All right, so here you go. As most of you are aware, Sebastian Rogers went missing on, it could have been even a late night on February 25th, but on the 26th is when he was reported missing, after his mother, Katie Proudfoot, woke up and did not see him in his bedroom. He was gone. And apparently that was around 6 in the morning. The night before, I think he went to bed at 9 o'clock, and then around 10 o'clock there was some sound that she heard in his room, and then he went back to sleep, and then she went to bed at like around midnight, and then at 6 in the morning he wasn't around. Now, law enforcement has stated that they have not been able to find any evidence of foul play on the part of the parents or anyone. And he just apparently has vanished. Now, we know people just don't vanish into thin air, but there aren't very many lights in this area. And depending on where Sebastian walked, you wouldn't be able to see him on cameras either. There's likely cameras around in this area, and there's even a camera right here, and apparently this is where he walked, and they checked his camera and they didn't see him on there. So it's pretty wild, the whole story is. But I've talked to Chris Proudfoot. He seems very helpful. I think if you get him in the right environment, he doesn't feel like he's being attacked all over the place. And he's a normal sounding person. And he seemed like he was really trying to be helpful to get the information out there in an accurate way. There's just so much wild speculation that people put out on social media and pretend that it's accurate. And they want everybody to go, ooh, look at this, ooh, 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 ooh. And they spend hours and hours and hours instead of doing just a little bit of research. So I spoke to Chris Proudfoot, and he explained to me exactly where the garbage truck was and where the lights were in that video that Nick Barris put out on a news channel. Like, he put it out there, and like I said before, he didn't really explain it well. He was filming the screen, the camera's moving around, so the light on the right where he called suspect 1 is literally just a fixed light, but because he's using a video of a video, right? So a cell phone is filming a screen, and the cell phone's moving around. That's why that was moving around. The image that's moving, though, when he has it relatively still, is the garbage truck. All right. We also learned in yesterday where Sebastian apparently left the house and walked around like this. That's where the dog scented and came around. Then apparently there's a retention pond over here, and that's where it last scented. This is just where he described. He said that law enforcement even checked the surveillance video here, and they didn't see him. So, it's just so dark in that area. So if he just walked around right like this slowly, that camera might not pick him up at all, because if you remember, if you look at the video, you can't really see anything across the street because there's no lights on. So even if he had walked by there and it was a permanently recording video, I don't know if it's motion activated only, you wouldn't see anything because it's just too dark in that neighborhood. There's virtually no lights. Okay, so what I thought I would do today is do an overlay and show you approximately what it looked like. I sent it to Chris Proudfoot, and he goes, hey, that's very good. That's just almost exactly what it looked like. So here is a shot from Google Earth. So if you go to Google Earth, if you're not somebody that uses Google Earth or Google Maps even, so on this program, Google Earth, you have to click on the Google Maps, and then it opens up the website for Google Maps. Then you go down to the street view, and you can place that little character down there, and now you're at street view level. And I don't think that was the right spot there. Let me put it right here. Yeah, so there you go. That's where the surveillance camera is. All right, then as you can see, this is what Google Earth has. It has the most recent street view. However, on Google Maps, you can see more dates. And this has come in play in many cases that we've done over the years. You can see vehicles of a criminal that were parked if they just happen to have a street view from the month or year, and it's amazing what you can find. So if you look right here, that's the house right here that had the 2 lights on it. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to come up with the an overlay, and you'd have to be right underneath there where the surveillance camera is to get a good one. But I think if you're right here, you can come up with something that's reasonable. So what I did was I took a screenshot of this and I put it into Photoshop. And then in Photoshop, I took the image, the new still frame that came out that actually has cars parked. You can see it right here. So when you originally put it in, it's dark like that. That's what it looked like. So this would be where Sebastian would be walking somewhere over there if he did walk by that night. Apparently he does, because that's where the dog scented, but again, scent dogs are not 100% accurate. So what I did was I rotated this because the camera angle is off a little bit. Let me just show you, like if I rotate it the way it was, see how that looks odd where the cars are kind of going vertical, etc. It's just the way the surveillance camera is rotated. So I think if you rotate it about like that, where this car is perpendicular to the ground, and then you move these lights, let's say you move these lights like right here over that house, and then let's add some transparency on that. Make it a little less than that. So right there. So let's say you put it right there. Now look, there's this light up here where the garbage truck was driving. So let's move it. I think it'd be more about like this, right? So there you go. There's a fixed light. So maybe that's over here. It also just depends, like the surveillance cameras are extremely wide angle lenses, and it's actually off to the left here a little bit and might be pointed more to the right. So it could be filming a different area of the house where that fixed light is. We do know there is one back here, and there's one over here to the right. But again, I can't mimic it perfectly. However, as you can see, right there, there's 2 lights, and then a light up here, and that is the garbage truck. And amazingly, this is the street up here that had the garbage truck on it. But amazingly, if you go down to Street View, you got very lucky because the last Street View on here is February of 2023. And this gives you a very good look of what it looks like and how you can see through the trees and branches. And depending on how high the light was on the garbage truck, let's say it was one of those tall garbage trucks and the light was on the top of it, and it was just a constant light lighting up the street, could have been up much higher. But look, you can see down through here, you can see homes in the background. And let's see if we can even see Sebastian Rogers' home. Not that it has anything to do with that surveillance camera shot. But somewhere around where this garbage can is. Now, I did actually call a garbage company in the area, a waste management company, and I asked them about this specific address. I said, what garbage company would I use? And she said, oh, I gave her an address of a house that's on the street. And she said, oh, you have to actually call garbage companies out and contract with them specifically in that area. If you were in a little different area, you would have one already assigned. But right there, you have to, it's like an unincorporated area or something like that. You have to call and get a contract with a garbage company. And then also I did call this company. I was able to see that it was like Green Village Waste Management for recycling, and I called them, and you know, the recycling company does 7. You have to have your recycling products out there by 7 a.m. and leave it there till 7 p.m. So it's likely not a recycling truck that drove by. It was the garbage truck as described. So let's see, we're right there. And that's almost about the angle you would think, because here is the surveillance camera. The 2 lights are on the left in the picture, right? So when you look at this picture, they're on the left, and then the garbage truck is up here, and then a light on this house. So that means it's got to be in between those homes. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If you look up here, these are the 2 lights, so it would be like that, and here's a light on this house, so it would be somewhere in this area, right inside of here. So it even could be, you know, from like here on, but it has to be inside of those 2 lights. So it could be clear back even to here, moving along, and you'd see it from down there because there's no leaves on the trees at this time of year. All right, so I hope the overlay helped you guys see it a little bit better. Obviously, it's not absolutely perfect because you have to be about 30 feet to the left and then down, and then with a wider angle lens. So apparently this is pretty accurate according to Chris Proudfoot. And I have to say, talking to him, he seems like he's really trying to be helpful, giving out specific information. He told me exactly where the dog scent trail was, where the surveillance footage was. He also said that he finally took that lie detector test. Now, we also know that lie detector tests aren't admissible in court, and you can't really, they're not incredibly reliable. But here's what I can tell you. If he had taken the lie detector test and he had failed, social media would have turned it into one of the greatest, oh my God, he's it! That's it, man! Look at that! He failed! He's the killer! He's the killer! But when he's found to not to have been deceptive, where he was, he passed the lie detector test, it's going to be, well, those things aren't really accurate. You know, those things are... And so why did you even want him to take it in the first place? Was it just to see if he would take it? Is that the key to it? And when he turned down going on to Nancy Grace's show doing the lie detector test, or just taking it on the side for her, it was a big deal. But in reality, he was told not to take it from them and then took it from the police, and he apparently passed it. I mean, doesn't that tell you something, you guys? I mean, all I can say is my communication with him, if it turns out someday that he has something to do with it, I will be absolutely shocked. You know, there's a whole bunch of, you know, scenarios that could have happened. I mean, maybe something happened in the home, and then Katie panicked, and maybe he went and helped or something like that. But I just don't see it, you know. I don't see it right now because I never saw anything from Katie either that was nefarious. And, I don't see any of the parents having anything to do with the physical removal of Sebastian Rogers. I think he might have left on his own. And just because of the nature of the neighborhood and how dark it is, and if he had just gone the wrong way one time, he is going to be lost. And maybe he got stuck in something and couldn't get out, and people just haven't found him yet. I mean, the best case scenario is that somebody even abducted him and he's still alive. And someday he'll come back. All right? But anyways, thank you all very much for watching the video today. I appreciate it. If you could hit that like button, share, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And, as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.